Welcome to episode 4 of It Gets Better, where I, Liz Charbonneau, try to convince
Brian Abrams
that the Twilight Saga are good movies. And today we're going to be talking about the Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 1.
Remarkable film.
I was about to ask you, I know you just finished it, and I haven't even seen if you've rated it yet, so I wanted to ask what you would rate it.
I'm giving this one 1.5.
Okay, so higher than the last one by a whole star.
Yes, and reason being, I want to credit Bill Condon for having about, as the director is, having about as nice a touch as anyone could expect from the material. So in other words, that's what probably kept it from being like a half-star movie, because he did keep things moving. But my brain did stop at some point nonetheless.
Yeah, a lot of this movie is a lot of build-up. So Condon is the only director that we're going to see again. He directs part 2 as well. And I think he probably kept that in mind, where he's trying to move you through all of this setup for the final movie, knowing that he's really going to be able to blow your mind in the second part.
Well, he's got the stripes. He's got like solid credits behind him. Clearly has like a graceful touch, and he was asked to make a fast food meal, and he presented it about as well as he could.
He's also, I would say, I think out of all of the directors, really the expert on directing something that's adapted as well. That's what his bread and butter is. That's what he got his Oscar, was writing an adapted screenplay. He also directed that movie. He had directed the adaptation of Chicago too. So this is really where he's comfortable.
Rob Marshall directed Chicago. I can't believe I know this. Rob Marshall directed Chicago. Bill Condon wrote the script.
Wrote the screenplay.
Yeah. And he did write the script. He might have even won for Gods and Monsters.
Yes, that was his Oscar, writing the adapted screenplay.
Did he direct it too? He did. Okay, there you go.
I believe he was also nominated again for his Chicago adaptation, but did not win.
But not for Twilight 4.
Right. I don't think he deserved an Oscar for this one.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the next movie he did.
Because, go ahead.
I think, I cannot give away what happens, but I think, he really had an incredible hand in adapting that and the things that happen in that I don't know that any other director would have been able to do.
The feeling to me was that he brought it down to earth as well as he could, as saying there are werewolves and there are vampires and there's absurd plot lines, but this is a soap opera and I'm going to treat it as such. As you say, his wheelhouse is like literary material, and he's kind of spun I will do like a soap opera melodrama with this material.
Mm-hmm. He does that well. It's as close to also what I think Catherine Hardwicke did with it. She did it more tongue-in-cheek, I think, but he gets very close to her. The other two directors did not, in terms of taking it, giving you what you want, almost here's your slop, this is what you guys love, and I'm going to make it look good as well as I can with the CGI that they're giving me.
And on that note of slop, unless I'm mistaken, this was Twilight 4 and Twilight 5 is one book. So there are 5 movies, 4 books. In
the original series, yes. I always have to say that because Stephanie has added on and is still planning on adding more. But in the original series, 4 books, 5 movies.
Where I'm going with this is, we are in the year 2011. Kristen Stewart's getting too old for this shit. She's ready to move on into her indie phase and do Personal Shopper, which I really enjoy. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Yes, very good.
Pattinson clearly is tormented in this. I realize his character is supposed to be too, but I see it in his eyes. He has not wanted to be there for 5 years now. The Twilight audience is not growing at this point. If you are going to see the 4th Twilight movie, it is the hardcores only. And so the strategy is we're making it into 2 movies. We're squeezing every fucking drop we can out of these fans before it's all said and done.
Yes, which was a trend at this point. In the early 2010s, that's what they were doing to us with all of these franchises.
Well, Wicked just did it too.
Well, Wicked just did it, but we haven't seen that in so long. But we had Harry Potter splitting the last book. We had coming later, The Hunger Games splitting the last book. Twilight's doing it. Those are the three that like really pop out, but those are the huge YA franchises that they were like, you guys have your allowance money and we're taking all of it.
And those are like the three franchises that I'm least familiar with.
Oh wow, maybe we should do a Hunger Games one.
I would do that.
You would enjoy that.
Amy Westervelt made a Hunger Games reference once in our chat like a year or two ago. Do you
really still want to understand it?
Thank God you didn't say Harry Potter instead.
No, I don't want to do the Harry Potter ones. I actually think I have an idea for a really funny Harry Potter podcast that my friends and I came up with a few years ago that is very disrespectful to Harry Potter, but I can't do that without them, so.
The most entertaining thing I've ever seen with Harry Potter is the Dear Reader YouTube.
Oh my God, I fucking love those.
Hello!
Fucking love those.
And there's like 50 parts.
Yeah. God, they're so good.
Yeah, that I would watch again. I wonder if Letterboxd has that in their catalog.
They should.
Mm.
They really should. That, and then I don't know that this would have ever come into your consciousness, but there was like a parody fanfic about Harry Potter called My Immortal that became an internet meme and was so good. It is like a perfectly written parody of a fanfic at that time. Those two things together really make up like Harry Potter like commentary for me. You can read it later. I don't want you to get sucked in while we're on the pod.
No, because I'm still so immersed in this beautiful wedding between Isabella Marie Swan and Edward Anthony Marks Cullen.
Yeah, as you should be. This is the wedding of the century. It's a wedding a century in the making.
Marks Cullen?
Yeah, there's no explanation there. We don't, like, that was probably his mother's maiden name, maybe. Uh-huh.
She was a women's lib type who wanted her name also on her child who was born in the 1700s.
I don't think it's like that. Well, he was born in the 1800s or, yeah, around the turn of the century. It's a very Southern thing to have your maiden name become a middle name. So that is probably it. He's not Southern. For some reason, I keep thinking maybe he was from Illinois. He's from like the Midwest, I think.
Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III.
That's actually Jasper's descendant, not Edward's. Though. Wow, I haven't thought about him in a while. It's been nice not having to think about him.
Yeah, you have a whole new cast of characters. I hate the phrase cast of characters too. It sort of reduces things, but is what it is.
But it also feels like it is that, especially with how often they rotate through. It's like you're on a long-running TV show that everyone wants off of.
And that's how Trump thinks of it too.
Yeah. Ugh. Okay, I don't want to think about him. I want to get back to Twilight.
Isabella and Edward.
Okay, they call her Bella. Isabella is said in the wedding because you say a full name, but not once have you gotten her actual name correct in all of these recordings yet. She's just Bella.
It's not like I call her Bell Dog or anything.
No, but like you think her name is Belle all the time.
Because I'm thinking of Beauty and the Beast.
Okay, do you see a parallel there? Is that what you're getting at? Is that what your subconscious is telling you at least?
That I wish. But I don't think so. I think my brain is just like, ooh, I saw that Disney movie.
I'd rather think about this Disney movie. All right,
so anyway,
Bella and Edward.
Getting married. The mom even flies in, is to what I gather from this opening montage. The parents, as far as I can tell, are still clueless that their future son-in-law has eyes that are like sparkly crystals, and he has sometimes diamond skin, or I guess that's been dropped now.
Yeah, because they're literally in the sun in this, in the wedding. Nobody notices.
We're just forgetting the diamond skin thing. Apparently, that's just in the past. Is he a virgin?
He is a virgin, yeah.
No.
He's a virgin.
Can I call him Ed?
They make like a little bit. You can call him Ed. Nobody does, but you can call him Ed. You feel intimately familiar with him. They make a joke that like he goes to visit Bella before his bachelor party, and she's like, "Oh, you're gonna tell me you're not a virgin." He is a virgin. In the previous one, I think it's kind of alluded to in the movie. That's talked about more in the book. That like he wants to do this right. Like he believes in waiting for marriage, and since he died when he was 17 and he wasn't married, he's a virgin.
So this tracks with, not to skip ahead too much, but this tracks when he says it's like the greatest night of my life.
Yeah, yeah. He's also not even alive anymore, so I don't know about that. But yes, it's everyone's first time.
Putting aside the fact that most people's first time
Mhm.
is probably not the greatest night of their life at that moment.
Right, that would be kind of insane.
But if you were to wait 200 years to get laid, who's to say?
I mean, yeah, maybe.
You're like, that was amazing. I can't believe I've been holding out for this long.
Jesus Christ. I had literally already believed that I don't have a soul. Why did I wait?
Have we even touched on that hypocrisy yet?
No, I don't think we have.
He's damned all to hell, and yet he's still like living by some sort of set of rules that do not apply to him anymore.
Well, he tries to say it in the last one that he's really just protecting Bella's soul. And isn't that the most romantic Mormon idea that you can hear? That even though he doesn't have one anymore, he has to protect hers because she does. And if you are a teenage girl who is deeply religious and has been told that you have to wait for marriage, that is the most romantic thing you can read at that point in your life.
For a true gentleman to not victimize you.
Yeah. Yeah, because all the after school specials are about how horny boys are, and they don't care, and they're going to try to trick you into sleeping with them. But Edward is our real Mormon prince, and he's not going to do that to you. He wants to wait until you get married. He's happy to keep waiting, even after you're married. He's fine not having sex.
He's quite the prude. But I would say, in defense of those after-school specials warning young girls about horny young men who will manipulate you into sex, that's all true. But I think the flip side of this coin, if I'm not mistaken, is that women can decide what they want to do too. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and like Stephanie falls into kind of accidentally being a feminist with that, where Bella keeps trying to manipulate Edward over these books into sleeping with her. She is the horny one who wants to steal his virtue.
That's funny. You think that it's not so much that Stephanie sat down and said, to an extent, I'm sure she wanted to give Bella some agency, but she may have just sort of twisted her own self into pretzel knots with all the characters on her big board, and it turns out that incidentally Bella becomes the feminist of the narrative.
Yeah, I don't think that she thought, like, I'm going to write this where the girl is horny, which makes it realistic in a way that a lot of these other books in this genre do not, and also kind of flips some of the like lore around vampires, where women are generally horny for vampires in that canon, but also vampires are horny, and she gets rid of that part of it. I don't think that she thought through any of that. I don't even think she has kind of the background of reading to do that.
We need to come up with the term for what we talked about last time, in which the movie is just catering to people who have read the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there was no way for me to interpret that Ed was a virgin. There was a joke about it, and then he talks about going into his rebellious phase, which is in the 1930s. He's stalking people out of the movie theater after seeing Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah. He's being Dexter is his backstory.
Yes.
Like, again, not original. Stephanie's not being original at all. Edward is being Dexter, but then stalking people out of Bride of Frankenstein.
But for all I know, he could have like got off during that period too. I don't fucking know, right?
Right. You would have thought at some point. Like, you don't have all the information, so you're thinking at some point he's gonna try it at least.
So there's got to be like, maybe the Twilight Reddit can come up with a term for that. That's specific to Twilight.
Our listeners are working on it as we speak.
There is an exchange, however, at that moment that I had to write down because I didn't understand it. He's about to run off to have his bachelor party, and which seems wholesome as hell, and which is totally nice.
But also goes back to he has no other friends. I think we talked about this last time, and his bachelor party is only with his two brothers because he has no friends. and that's why he's a total loser.
Well, that also tracks with like homeschooled Christians. Can I say that? Is that a little too? That's a little mean.
Yeah, a
But
little
all
mean.
but all you homeschooled Christians out there know what I'm talking about.
Right, yeah. If you're listening to this, you know. So I guess it kind of tracks, yeah.
Will there be strippers? She asks. No, just a couple mountain lions, maybe a few bears. What is that? I missed that. Is that just a bad joke?
Yeah, it's a terrible joke. It's that like they're just gonna go eat those animals or drink their blood. Like it's not even a real joke. So that's why you're confused about it.
Well, there were some other confusing things throughout this picture, and perhaps we'll get
This
to them.
this talkie, I don't know. Okay. Well, let's like move through it. So they have the wedding, absolutely oblivious guests altogether. Besides the other vampires and the wolves, literally nobody else even suspects anything weird is happening. Like somebody mentions, oh, they have like a strong family resemblance to their cousins, which are the other vampires, and that's it.
The cousins that come in that look like they're walk-ons in a Cruel Intentions sequel,
Yeah. That's a great way to describe them too.
and they all look like anime characters. Like, how are you not freaked out by this entire family?
Right. Like why are you choosing to be around them?
I'm not one to call the cops, but
But in certain circumstances. One thing I wanted to talk about is Bella's dream before the wedding, where she's covered in blood. She looks over to the crowd and it's just a sea of dead bodies and Edward's there. I don't remember Lily Rose Depp's character's name, but she describes having a dream basically that is exactly that while she's kind of going through it, waiting for Nosferatu to come. Which I thought was an interesting addition. I don't know if it's in the other films. I haven't seen the other versions.
of a scene where the whatever her name is, the Winona Ryder character,
Yeah.
is has this fantasy of like this pile of dead bodies, and in this one Robert Pattinson has like, you know, blood dripping from the corner of his mouth, so it seems like Bella doesn't kill the people. It's just her groom went out and ate everybody.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think she's imagining herself as the vampire. It's just him.
And the F.W. Murnau Nosferatu in the 20s, which I've seen 1.5 times, I don't remember. I would like to pretend that I like that movie, but yeah, you know, it's one of the I just watched it for the sake of it, and
Yeah, that's
I'm
fair.
I'm shocked that I made it.
It's no Breaking Dawn Part 1. But I don't know, that part stood out to me in Nosferatu. I was like, wait, did like the Leo pointing meme. That's what happens in Breaking Dawn.
Has she graduated high school?
Yes, they graduated last movie.
Okay, is college happening? I mean, does she have a career or artistic aspirations in mind, or maybe even a
No,
hobby?
she has no aspirations besides being married to Edward and fucking him. They have college plans that they are pretending she's going to be going to the University of Alaska, but no, she's not going and she doesn't want to. She doesn't care about that. She is ready to just be a vampire and be married to Edward.
I mean, I get it. We've all been there. You want to do somebody. It completely consumes your
Yeah.
your imagination. Everything else falls to the wayside.
Especially when you're a teenager. I think like that part of it is realistic. The way that she is so obsessed with him, I think is a really realistic portrayal of that.
I do want to credit Bill Condon again, because they're really milking the wedding scene and the reception. And by the time that's all said and done, you are 45, 50 minutes into the movie.
The wedding is not the largest part of the book for sure, but one, he has to fill up 2 movies. So that necessitates it being longer. But 2, the wedding was super important to the book fans. Everything needed to be perfect and magical and wonderful. And spoiler alert, it wasn't for the fans. Bella's dress was wrong. Nothing was as perfect and magical as everybody had imagined. But it was really important that that was a big part of the movie.
What was wrong with the dress?
It didn't look exactly as described because Stephanie describes clothes extremely fucking weirdly. And they did have to put Kristen Stewart in a dress that existed. So I think it looked fine. I think it like kind of fit Bella's personality. It was pretty plain. It was understated, and obviously Kristen looks gorgeous. But when you are this dedicated to the book series that you have opinions about what Twilight for Breaking Dawn Part 1 should be, nothing is ever going to live up to your expectations.
I want to get to Brazil, but I do have to say I found it disturbing that this is all happening and she's 18 years old.
Yeah, it
Like,
is disturbing.
this is like combination of like some backwoods, or I don't even want to denigrate like rural America, actually. This is like old-fashioned Eisenhower ideals of American life from almost a century ago that we're or a half a century ago as we're watching it play out in 2011. And
Yeah.
and we're relaying that message to millions of moviegoers.
Right, yeah, this is Mormon propaganda and later on pro-life propaganda in George Bush's America. Welcome to conservative America. This is what you should be aiming for, is getting married as soon as you graduate high school. Literally as soon as you graduate high school.
Yet another example at which President Obama wanted to supposedly turn the page, and it's still with us.
Right. Obama could not save us from this. Maybe he would have tried if he had read or watched these movies, but he didn't. He chose not to.
He was a Game of Thrones guy.
Probably. But you know what? Like Malia and Sasha, I'm sure wanted to watch Twilight. What did he do?
Were they into Twilight, you think?
Probably. I feel like they were a little young for it, but it's not like there's anything really inappropriate that you would say, no, you can't watch it. So I would assume that they watched it.
But you're laying your chips on that bet because you're saying they are Americans of a certain age. And what I don't understand, as we previously discussed, is this is like Star Wars for girls at that time.
Yes.
So therefore, it's on your radar whether you like it or not.
Yeah. It is almost guaranteed that they watched it.
I'm excited for the Hunger Games now. I almost want to read the books.
The books are really good. I know that I've gotten you into Twilight by saying it's really good, but it's really good in a bad way. The books are legitimately good.
How many of them are there?
There's 3.
Honeymoon Night, may we discuss?
Please. The best night of Edward's life.
So there is, and again, I think at this point, my attention span was sort of dwindling. The time is a little bit conflated because it seems like they just had their wedding night when they arrived. Mm-hmm. And she's shaving her legs because they're going for a swim. So it wasn't clear to me that it was a nude swim until that actually happened.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so that's supposed to be like a surprise, right? That's supposed to be like a provocative thing.
Yeah.
So I was paying attention. And then, she doesn't need to shave her legs twice. I don't know what to tell you. Like, she just had her wedding.
Maybe she didn't shave for the wedding. We don't know. She's not like other girls, remember?
I don't know.
So maybe she was just lazy. She's like, oh, I'm wearing a long dress anyway, so, oh well. I get that. If your legs aren't going to be out, might as well just not shave.
And this is the first time they're in the ocean. Mm-hmm. I like how we just skipped over the cop dad because the movie clearly wanted to skip over the cop dad too.
Yeah.
This is the first time they get to see each other naked, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think like even close to naked. Like I don't think they'd even just seen like bathing suit coverings. I don't think Edward has seen Bella with her top off before.
But audiences are clearly old enough by now they're ready for this.
Yes.
It's like
if you started reading these books when they were coming out and you were kind of early teens, that was, 2005, 2006.
You're menopausal now.
Level. Yeah, basically. According to JD Vance, you better be having a kid right now. Start fulfilling your biological duty like Bella is about to.
Oh my God. But this is like the Jim and Pam, is that their names from The Office?
Yeah.
Jim and Pam, like they finally get together. This is sort of that.
Yeah. Yeah. They are finally going to fuck, like Stephanie Meyer again somehow gets all of these women to like cheer on being horny. And then she finally rewards us for it.
And Ed destroys the sheetrock in the hotel room.
Yeah, he absolutely fucking destroys a bed, ripping things off walls. He rips a pillow. That's really not for all of the other things. I don't know why they focus a lot on like the feathers. Like ripping a pillow is not that impressive compared to like ripping the walls off the frame. But
Or destroying a pussy while we're at it. He's like touching everything else but her. Is he
right,
gay?
yeah. Well, he doesn't want to because he has to. So all of this happens because like he's losing control, but he doesn't want to hurt her.
Is that
So
what it
he's
is?
like diverting his strength to all of this.
I thought he was trying to like express his like virility to her without actually having to
He
please
doesn't want
her.
to do that. He's still a prude.
There's nothing wrong with being gay or being a gay vampire. I just hope listeners understand that.
Right. Just because Stephanie thinks there's something wrong with that, we all know that there's not. Or Edward could be asexual, and that's fine too. Like maybe he got turned into a vampire too early, or hadn't fully gone through puberty, he was a late bloomer, so now he's stuck, just not interested in that. I don't know.
They screw twice in the same night?
No, once per night. So they do it once, and then he thinks he hurt her, and so he never ever wants to do it again.
And then they go
Which
back to it, and then he says it's the best night of his existence on night 2.
no, the best night was the first night. That's what he says. They don't
But
do it again on night 2. It takes a while. That's that whole montage, which is supposed to be like 2 weeks of her trying to seduce him again.
and she does a terrific job, I will say.
She does. Would the
Yeah.
chess part work on you? Is that what you're saying?
Who, me? The chest part, I don't
The
remember. No.
chess, the game. Like at one point,
Oh,
they're playing. She's trying to seduce him while playing chess.
I do enjoy chess, but I don't remember that. I just remember there was a great shot of her on the bed,
Yeah, she
and
looks fucking awesome.
she has a bunch
In
of
all
cool
of
outfits. And because I'm just into it for the outfits, obviously.
Yeah.
And she looks really tan in some shots, which is new for us. We don't get to see a tan Kristen Stewart until now.
Right, yeah. Well, because there's no sun in Forks. So now they're in Brazil, so she can get a tan. But yeah, she looks absolutely amazing in these Brazil shots. And Edward does not want to touch her.
So when she is being the temptress and Edward is not falling for it, is Stephanie trying to say that sex shouldn't be taken lightly or for sport, and that we shouldn't give in to impulses even after the Lord Jesus gives us our blessing?
I think so. I think that's a good reading of it, especially they get into this in the book where Bella takes Edward's disinterest in it and like refusal of her as a rejection, and like he didn't like having sex with her and he doesn't find her attractive, and he's just saying, no, I just don't want to hurt you again. So I think your reading of it really falls in line with that. Like he's being responsible about this, as we all should be.
Yes, because in the end, if you follow that argument, what it's essentially saying is women are still property, and you have to take care of your toys, and you can't just rag them out,
Yeah.
even when the toys want to be ragged out.
The toy is begging for it at this point. But you have to be strong in your moral convictions, slash just not be interested in having sex with your female wife.
Some other aggressive ideas kind of happening in the sequence. The housekeepers,
Uh-huh.
and perhaps this is striking me as a little, shall we say, problematic, but Latin American who speaks an indigenous language can detect that Edward is a demon,
Yeah.
because presumably she too is spiritually linked to the same cosmic forces that the wolves back home are, right?
It's that, and they also, in the book, there's like legends about them, like the wolves have. There's legends about vampires in Brazil and the Amazon rainforest, and she knows about those because obviously she does. We can get back to Edward and Bella fucking.
He wrecked the hotel. It was the best night of his life, and
He
he says, except for what I believe were several incidents at the bathhouse in the 30s in his rebellious phase. He has his otherized housekeepers, and before you know it, there is a belly reveal. Or is that skipping ahead too far?
No, you're not skipping ahead too far. They do have sex one more time.
There's an initial belly reveal. I don't mean the dramatic bruised belly reveal in the mansion. There's
Right, no.
one. She eats some rancid chicken, or so she thinks.
Yeah, she eats some chicken, but before that they have sex one more time. And then yeah, she like lifts up her shirt and she realizes she's late for her period. This pregnancy obviously is just defying all matter of science at this point, and she can already tell she's pregnant and can feel the baby moving inside of her already.
Not to be crude and not to get too bogged down in medical jargon, has Edward not heard of pulling out?
Probably not. Also, I don't know the Mormon stance on this, but maybe that is a sin for them.
It does immediately remind me of there was this fringe trend happening around this time, and maybe it's still continuing among Christian singles where they considered anal not sex. Do
I
you,
think that that's like constant. Yes.
that's like a
Yeah.
loophole.
It's only penis and vagina is sex. Anything else is not. Yes.
A dude can't do a penis in a guy's butt, but like
Right. No, I know.
but
No,
a
you're
dude
talking-
penis and a girl butt doesn't count. That's
Right.
like that's
not
somehow
sex. Also, girl mouth and dude penis does not count as sex in that way too.
there's no way that that's like a mainstream thought among evangelicals. There's no way.
I think it is. And I don't even think I wouldn't even say evangelicals. I would say like any Christian, like that is generally the thought.
It's like let's do everything we can around the penis vagina. Anything in the playbook. Let's
Literally
get
anything
imaginative.
else. Yeah. I think like that is like a way of looking at religion that I think a lot of religions have of like saying, oh no, God was very specific about this. And so there are a million loopholes and those are fine.
They're like sexual originalists.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We should get Clarence Thomas on and ask him if he's a sexual originalist as well as a constitutional one.
Yeah.
I can just email Ginny.
Do you think Ginny read the Twilight books?
That's a great question. Maybe. She might be a Twilight mom. Yeah.
I'm picking up some of that energy. She might be a little too old for it, but she would have been there otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe not right away. She wasn't getting into it until maybe like the second movie was coming out and she thought, oh, I'll check this out.
Yeah, because what pop culture would they have had in 2011? I mean, Clarence Thomas would go see the Clint Eastwood movies, so did I. But what was there in the Mitt Romney days that Kirk Cameron movies? I can't remember. Where he was addicted to porn. Did you ever see that one?
No, I didn't see that one. I really avoid Kirk Cameron in general post Growing Pains. I'm trying to think, when did Glee start? I know that was Obama era. I think like in the advertising around it, especially to start, like you could trick these conservatives into starting. And so it was 2009 to 2015. So probably, Ginny Thomas was probably watching Glee, at least for a little while too. She loves emailing, so I'm sure we can get her to answer an email.
How hard could it be?
I don't know. Literally everybody else can do it. If an insurrectionist can do it, so can we.
I don't know if we're ready to skip ahead yet, but suddenly Bella's sick.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fully articulated, and maybe someone can call me out for this, but it's not fully articulated like why she's sick, and perhaps that's on purpose because we're leading up to the part where we realize that she's anemic. She's anemic because she has a little demon baby who's like sucking out all of her fluids and nutrients out of her.
Yeah, I think it starts off with the normal like morning sickness, and that's what you're supposed to think it is, and then it just never goes away and just gets worse and worse, and you see like literally the life draining out of her because the demon baby is sucking it out of her.
Here's like a conservative position that I'm going to introduce. And I don't think it's a hot take or whatever, but I find it inappropriate how Jacob is so concerned about Bella's health and that he's mad at Edward, Edwina for knocking her up. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe she wants the fucking kid. She
does. I mean, Edward wants her to abort it, and she doesn't want that. She refuses to do that because she loves it and she wants this baby. She wants it.
We get to that later where he is this deadbeat dad who doesn't want to raise the son if she dies. I'm being really brilliant about it. He's doing this whole,
Master manipulator.
but really, he just doesn't want to raise the fucking kid.
Right, he doesn't want this baby. It's earlier than that, too. She first figures out that she's pregnant and they're going home. He says, well, Carlisle will take care of this. Like, you're going to have an abortion. He shouldn't be dictating that she has an abortion, obviously. It's her choice. And that's when she calls Rosalie, because she knows Rosalie wants nothing more than a baby in her life. So she knows she'll protect her and make sure that they don't forcibly abort this baby.
I want to add one more thing about my comment about Jacob. And it's not that obviously, a woman, a pregnant married woman, can have a platonic relationship with a straight man. That's perfectly fine. But we all know Jacob wants her ass badly. And that's not a purely platonic relationship. Sorry. And so
Right.
it's just inappropriate to me. He can't be coming busting in, like acting like he's husband number two. And they never followed through with the ethical non-monogamy thing. It's always kind of there, but it's not ever discussed again. Or maybe it isn't the fifth one. I don't know.
It definitely isn't. Don't get your hopes up on that. But yeah, as really quick, like, oh, maybe, you can have babies with her. Again, not asking Bella, who doesn't want that. She wants this baby. She wants to be married to Edward, but the men are talking. So shut up. And you're right, it's inappropriate because if he's coming at it from a space of like, I'm your friend, I care about you in a platonic way, you're going to talk to her differently about it. And it's really going to be centered on her as opposed to like, why are you doing stupid shit? And then constantly going back to talking about Edward.
And the Cullens are enabling Jacob's behavior. They're allowing him to feel entitled. And this is all maybe part of that Mormon thing where they're all the mommies and daddies together in their little tent
on their little planet. While we're talking about Jacob, do you want to talk about the wolves now?
We need to. I got confused. I got bored and confused, which is a common combination of feelings. And it's funny, at the top of the show, I had complimented Bill Condon on how much the show is just kind of buzzing along. And it was right at around this moment, right, when Jacob comes busting in the house and lecturing the family about knocking up his non-wife, that I felt like, oh, we're already like an hour in. This is great. 1.5 stars. And then immediately, if I may, the next line I have on my notes is, so the wolves speak telepathically with digitally compressed voiceovers.
Exactly, yes. They have established very briefly in the others that they speak telepathically. We have just never experienced it until this moment.
The movie and the FX, the CGI is just like, it's begging for the wolves' mouths to move.
Yeah.
They should have just
don't.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the way that they're speaking is very different from how they speak when they're human too. Like, why are you speaking like a Disney king?
Nosferatu had that problem too, with whoever, what's his face, homie who played Dracula. Like he had like a Darth Vader-y thing happening there too. I found that.
Yes, that was weird and distracting. Like he's an ancient being though. Like I think that like that's what the explanation is. But these wolves are teenagers in 2005.
And they're given this like Transformer Decepticon gravitas. Yeah.
Yeah. And like the words that they're choosing and like the syntax that they're using, you're like, what?
Right. They're Batman villains suddenly.
Yes. 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 You will obey me.
So what's going on with the wolves? I don't understand what the problem is. There's like, is it just that the wolves want to eat Bella?
No, they don't want to eat Bella. So they have to protect humans. That was like why they exist. That's why they transform into wolves, to protect humans from vampires. The treaty that they made with the Cullens was based on the fact that the Cullens did not drink human blood. They could control themselves well enough to stop themselves from drinking human blood And the wolves are putting their faith in that control. So they signed the treaty that said, as long as you don't attack a human, we have our land, you can't come on it, but we will let you be here in Forks. They are worried that this baby, when it's born, won't be able to control itself. And this is going to come up again in the next movie too. A lot of people get worried about vampire babies or vampire human hybrid babies. And I think it's reasonable to say, yeah, we don't actually have a treaty with this baby and we don't know what it's capable of, so they need to kill it. They've decided.
What was the derogatory term in the first Trump administration for when an undocumented person's child is born here?
An anchor baby.
Isn't that what this is, though?
Like a treaty anchor baby?
Yeah, is there some sort of analogy here? I would say
it's kind of like that's what the Cullens want it to be, and then the wolves don't. Yeah, like they're not gonna like grandfather in this baby with this treaty. The baby didn't sign a treaty. They didn't sign it with the baby.
There is a FICA court. There's an immigration court. There's a vaccine court. We even have so there's werewolf court where I would say, look, we get it, but the case is the baby is with us. Like it's part of our thing. So chill out.
And that's the Cullens' contention. That it's their baby, they're taking care of it. They're going to take care of it.
I think you have a moral obligation to side with the Cullens' argument.
And that's what Stephanie wants you to do.
Are we going to build a wall of all the hybrid vampire babies?
Maybe we should.
Oh, yeah?
You'll see more of it. You'll learn more. Get some facts first before...
Immigration is a very complicated body of law. There's a process.
I just want you to read the theory first and get all your facts straight about these hybrids in the next movie before you make a decision. How you feel about them. The wolves have their stance.
Okay, I look forward to it. Sarcastically. A couple points about the medical issue with Vampire Baby. Mm-hmm. Well, for starters, Peter Fasinelli is not an OBGYN. Like he's just a general practitioner, if I remember right.
Right now he's an ER doc. So,
however, his beautiful home office does have stirrups, so there is that. Mm-hmm. I guess he's just well prepared. Yeah,
there are no questions asked about that. That would have been one of my first questions.
My other question, which is more important, I think, is that there's this build up to where we finally understand why Bella is so ill, and it's because she's got Satan inside of her. But have the Cullens not run across this diagnosis before? Is this Vampire Baby number 1?
They have not run into it before. So they're going through this blind. I do think it should have occurred to somebody that maybe it wants blood before it occurred to Jacob of all people, who is not a vampire.
The baby names combo kind of went over my head, by the way.
There's nothing to go over your head. She's just I do think it's weird. It would not be weird to give your baby a middle name of your best friend. It is if that best friend is in love with you and your husband has offered to let him have children with you if you abort your current baby.
Wait, did that happen in the movie?
That might be in the extended version.
There's an extended version of this movie?
Yeah, there's an extended version of all the movies, but they have not released the extended version of the final one. And Bill Condon recently did an interview saying we're never going to see it. I think President Trump should get it for us, but it might just be in the extended version. But Edward has a conversation with Jacob and he's like, if she wants to have babies, that's fine. She can abort this one and you can have babies with her.
Would you vote for Trump if he was able to deliver on that promise?
No, but I would say that I would.
He would
I already have it.
He would force tariffs on something, which would do nothing.
Right. I would, if he was if you vote for me, I'm going to release this. I'd be like, I will totally vote for you, President Trump, and then not do it. I'm still getting it. But I want it very badly. It's, from what he said, it's mostly that the special effects haven't been put in, and there's a lot of special effects in the final one. So as you'll see, I don't care. give me the like CGI like
Yeah.
tennis balls and shit. I don't care. I want to see it.
Yeah. Oh no, all the Twihards would just like be like, give it to me raw. I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, there's an extended version. It might be that in the extended version they have that conversation, but they do. Like Edward literally says you can have babies with her, but you have to convince her to abort this one.
Another compliment for Bill Condon, by the way.
Hmm.
We're approaching a moment that I did not expect at all. That is probably, I think, categorically the goriest moment in the entire series.
Oh, by far. By far.
And I want us to sort of walk how we get there. Just making sure I comprehend what's happening on the screen, that I'm film literate enough. She drops the blood soda out of the right, which was an accident. And the fact that she dropped the blood soda made the vampire baby convulse inside her. And she kind of has to, she finds him jerking around, or her, I don't forget the gender of the baby. She finds the baby jerking around in her, and then her knees are weak and she cracks and collapses.
Kind of. So she drops the blood soda as she's reaching down. Like the baby can sense that the blood is there and it moves in a way that it actually severs her spine. It's so strong, it just severs her spine in that moment. And that's why she collapses. She's fully paralyzed now.
And then we get to this moment. I mean, maybe I should up the star rating now in retrospect. But this is the problem with star ratings. You want, why do you need to log immediately? Just like sit with
Well,
it
you
for a
don't
moment.
have to log immediately. You chose to log immediately.
It's synonymous with the inbox zero type people, right? Like, why am I
You want to
doing
log
that?
it and move on. But if you sit with it, you start thinking about it, we have a discussion about it, you're picking out, this final scene is fucking insane.
I think it's very New Yorkery too, but probably DC people are worse in this way, where you're like, I need to get this one thing done in my life because there is going to be 25 things that are going to happen in the next hour to 10 hours. And that's what I need to stay on top of things, stay on top of things.
It's very DC. Very, very DC. But yeah, so spine is severed. They need to get this baby out of her.
Peter Fasinelli, nowhere to be found.
They're off getting more blood.
Oh, is that what it is? He's on a blood run.
Yeah.
And there are like different tools you can use for cutting that are in the room.
Yeah.
But I suppose Edward uses the tool he's most familiar with.
Yeah. Yeah. He bites her belly open.
How is she alive?
She is actively dying. Like
But,
her
like-
heart, it's just that her heart has not stopped pumping yet.
It's even when like Dr. Edward comes in with the Pulp Fiction syringe, like there's just no fucking way. When
This
a
is all
vampire,
supposed to be happening in like a minute because vampires can move at like the speed of light. So they're doing this all like really, really quickly. And it's like her heart is just like slowing down.
but for the sake of our primitive brains, we're watching it play out over 3 minutes.
Yes, they're moving it like as quickly as humanly possible, vampirically possible. And she is actively dying. Like she has a minute to live.
If you open up any modern medical textbook, it will tell you that any time a gorgeous vampire sinks his teeth into your gut and rips your fucking stomach open in order to remove your fetus, you have maybe 20 seconds to live.
It's not like he's making like a C-section cut with his teeth. He's literally just like ripping into it.
It is at this point, the movie has nowhere else to go. Like, for that matter, like, this is sort of, to me, maybe the peak of the franchise.
It's incredible. I would not call it the peak, but you just have not seen enough yet. But it is incredible. I do remember being shocked at how gory they made it, in a good way. Because the whole pregnancy part leading up to this is like real body horror. And in the extended version, it's like even worse. You get a lot more shots of like Stuart being like CGI'd wasting away.
And they do a good job. They show like some really wide bruises on her body, and she looks like fucking shit. Or her eyes are all hollowed.
Yeah. But Edward gets the baby out with his teeth and then plunges the syringe, which is the syringe of his venom, into her heart to start the vampire transformation process.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yes.
So when we're seeing the fucking inner space, that's too old of a reference, but when we're seeing the CG of like all the insides of her body, we're watching like the venom do the work. And so in the final frames, when she opens up her eyes and she becomes a vampire, that's why.
Yes. And that's why, so he plunges the venom into her, and then he's doing chest compressions to move the venom through her system, because her heart has stopped now. And the venom needs to move through her tissue in order to start the process. So that's why he's doing it. She is dead, and he is artificially doing this to make her a vampire.
Oh, I might up the rating. I didn't realize that was... I might have been on my phone checking my TikTok views.
What did you think that the syringe was?
I thought it was like adrenaline, like, when Uma Thurman was overdosing from heroin.
All right, yeah, no, it's his venom. He has somehow milked his venom out of himself.
In fairness, he is mumbly on dialogue, and my sound sucks. So maybe in the theater it was more clear.
I do think he says like it's my venom, but it's said once. It's not like he's talked about the process of it or anything.
Are you a subtitles person at home?
Yes.
You are. Interesting. I avoid it if I can. I will use it if necessary, but I try to avoid it. I try to I don't know if that's going raw. That's raw dogging it or not.
Yeah, I think that's you could call that raw dogging. And so we have Bella transforming, and you can kind of see the venom changing her cells. And then I think like this is definitely the best ending to the movies.
Yes.
Her opening her eyes and they are red like a vampire's, and then we cut to honestly some really great looking end credits.
I am upping this to 2 stars, I've decided.
Hell yeah.